Welcome to the Metamorphosis Project podcast. I'm your host, Tenya Eickenberg, and this is a space where transformation begins. Here, we dive deep into energy healing, self-care, and the power of mindset to help you break free from old patterns and design a life that feels aligned, vibrant, and authentically you. Each week, we explore the tools, techniques, and real-life experience that guide us toward lasting healing and growth. Because true metamorphosis isn't just about change. It's about becoming who you were always meant to be. Now, let's get into this week's conversation.
I'm excited to be here. Let's just get going.
Awesome. So, I want to talk a little bit about first how you came to starting to work with parents to
Mhm.
give them or give moms help with their parenting manual per se.
Yeah. So I received a gift. I received the gift of essentially birthing myself. So I think day three of my parenting journey in 1995, um, my parents left. So they were driving out of the driveway, and I felt like, I got this. I'm showered. My baby is happy. It's all good. I got it going. And I really I felt like I'm gonna conquer this. And around 2 p.m., Sophia was broken, like truly broken. And I had read all the books, which I'm going to be honest with you, Tenya. I had read the one book that was out in 1995 and
What to
several.
expect when you're expecting?
Yeah. Yeah. And I was like one of those, when you're in your 20s,
Yep.
all the
Yep.
things,
Yep. Yep. Yep.
And if you read the one book, but you read it several times,
Yep.
it's like, well, of course I know it all, clearly.
Absolutely.
Because in your 20s, you're pretty assured of yourself.
Yep. Yep.
So I was like, clearly I've done all the things in the one book because I've read the one book the many times. And I just tried all the things. And, she truly looked up at me like, um, excuse me, I don't think you know what you're doing. And I really truly had the Scooby-Doo moment of like, ruh-roh. I mean, truly, uh-oh. I think she's on to me.
Yeah,
That's
yeah.
good.
Even week old babies, you know,
Yeah.
will have those looks on like, are you serious, mom? Come on. Come
Yeah,
on.
um, are you, is there like a return policy? Because I
Right.
don't,
No, sorry, no take backs.
is this, is this all you have?
Right.
So, and then, so there was that moment. And then there was another moment maybe a few days later, maybe that same day, I'm not sure. But I mean, I was just exhausted and, I left her in my husband's lap and just literally crawled, army crawled my way to the bed because she could just sense and smell me, right?
Yeah.
And got into bed, and my husband was exhausted. He had to go to work the next day because his job magnanimously gave him 18 hours of paternity.
Oh, how wonderful
It
of
was
them.
so great. And so he
Yeah.
had to get to work the next day, and I left him. He was exhausted, and his mouth was already slack and open, so he thought he could just lay her in his lap. And I just heard this babe, babe, come out here. And so she had been sleeping. He was slack-mouthed. I had crawled into bed, and I come out, and she had literally rock climbed her way from his lap up his body and
Oh
had
my gosh.
latched onto his neck. And he was like, I am in peril. I think she will kill us both. Um, and right, so we both knew at the time this is a strong-willed child.
Yeah.
Clearly, she had the upper body strength. to probably crush and kill us both. You know, this was like Shakti, Shiva, like, I have come to destroy. I was like, uh-oh. And that's a good thing, right? We know we are in this time, and this again is 1995. We are in this time, like I'm reading all of these books, you know, I'm reading the Mayan calendar, the Aztec calendar, the Hindu cultures, what's happening in the astrological planes. All of the ancient wisdom is talking, the age of Aquarius, all of these calendars and ancient wisdoms are talking about the coming age.
Mm-hmm.
And Sophia knew it.
Yeah.
She was like, knock, knock.
Yeah.
You got a problem, and I'm going to be it. So we both had this inclination in knowing that we better prepare ourselves, and not like, uh-oh, we're scared, but like
Right.
this world needs this badass.
Yeah.
And perhaps we are the badasses to help. So my handles on social media, on Instagram, on TikTok are Raise Badass Humans with Dr. Luz. And the only way to raise a badass human is to become one yourself,
Mm-hmm.
is to break all of the cycles, all of them, Tenya.
Right.
And
Yeah.
I'm not talking about smash through all of them all at the same time. I'm talking about do the work. And I'm talking about use whatever means possible. Energetic healing, whole
Yep.
foods, crystal, I don't care. Reiki,
Right. Right.
crystals, energetic
Yep.
healing, vagal nerve, you know, polyvagal theory, um, you know, and I've done all of it. I've done
Yeah.
all of it.
Yeah. Because if one thing doesn't work,
Right.
you have to try something else. You
And
have to keep trying until you find what works.
right. And I've done it all.
Yeah.
I've leaned into polyvagal theory. I've leaned into trauma therapy. I've leaned into EMDR. I've done yoga. I've done all of the things in service of my own healing and in being transparent with my own children, because I have always contended I'm on a journey for me, but I'm on a journey for you, because you know what? Oh, is this a podcast where we can cuss?
Absolutely.
I was like, God damn it. We are fucking gonna break the cycles,
Yeah.
because this isn't just for me, this is for you and every other generation behind us, because this is no longer acceptable.
Right.
Do you know what I mean? I think I discovered Angela Davis's quote, you know, I am no longer willing to accept the things I cannot change. I'm here to change the things I cannot accept,
Yeah.
you know, in my 20s. And I just have been like, if I could have that tattooed on my chest, I can't. I'm just like too much of a like, that sounds painful. I'm not going to do it. I'll just like tattoo it on my heart. You know, I'm here for that in every single way,
Yeah.
to be a warrior in joy and light. And so, in whatever way makes the most sense, eat your whole foods, light your candles, have your crystals, do your EMDR, do your therapy, find your people,
Yeah.
however they look, you know, and do all of the things and be brave about it and be vulnerable about it and say, like, I don't know my shit. I just want to find the people, you know?
Yeah. You have to find a tribe that's going to support you on your journey.
And that's why you have to be open to it. I
Yeah.
don't know. It could be you. It could be me,
Yep.
you know, and that's why, you know, we're in this time of the birthing pains are real.
Mm-hmm.
Do you know what I'm saying? Like the dying pangs of the patriarchy and the hierarchy is what we are currently experiencing, or what we're seeing right now. The contractions and the birthing of this new age
Yeah.
are happening, and we have to be there. We have to be the warriors of the light.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. We can't stay stuck. We can't stay stuck
Yeah.
in those those lower vibrations of placing blame on everybody else for how things have turned out for us.
Yeah.
We have to take control of what I consider the five pillars of life, which are our energetic, our physical, our mental, emotional, and our physical
Yeah.
pillars. We have to take control of those and
Yeah.
stop giving our power away to other people.
Mm-hmm.
And there's a difference between asking for guidance and giving away our power. And so,
So fine of a line.
yeah, there is a very fine line.
It's like nanometers thick,
It
right?
is, it is.
And
So,
the more spiritual you get, it's almost like the thinner that gets.
yeah, it feels like it. It feels like it because you realize just how often you do give your power away.
Mm-hmm.
And in parenting, I think we tend to give it away a lot because we tend to go to the experts.
Right.
Or, in the 90s, we didn't have the beauty of the internet for
Right.
a few years after that, but we had books. But even reading those books, we gave our intuition, we gave our power away to those authors of those books, saying, oh, but wait, Dr. Spock said this is how we're supposed to do it.
Right. And there was a lot of damage done in the name of scientists and experts, right? There were Skinner boxes. I don't know if you remember even that. That was like, and I met somebody who, received that kind of care. And for those people who don't know what that was this idea that if we put children in literal boxes, that we will be able to teach them how to like regulate themselves.
I had not heard of that before. That
It's
is
insane.
crazy.
Yeah, like if we like literally put them into a box that like just fits their bodies, they
Oh
will
my
learn
God.
by the proximity of the box that this is how they regulate themselves.
So I guess those people who came up with that never realized that if you put, that's one thing I learned very early on with like a fish tank
Mhm.
or, putting an animal in a
Yeah,
tank. They only grow as big as their box.
exactly. Right. Yeah. It's really kind of insane.
Yeah,
Like without physical, we know that humans devoid of physical touch do not learn to attach.
right.
And that's the antithesis of what we know of attachment theory.
Hmm.
It's just and there's so much now. I see that you have this chakra
Hmm.
picture. So what's interesting now is that if you look at an actual map of the vagus nerve,
Hmm.
have you seen that?
Yes,
It maps onto the chakras.
it does. It
It's
does.
intense. So if your viewers, your listeners don't know, look this up. It's amazing. If you look at a map of the nexus points, so the little bundles along the vagus
Hmm.
nerve, if you look at a map of all of those nexus points along the vagal nerve, they actually light up along the chakra maps. So
Yeah.
the ancients knew and felt what we now scientifically can prove and see.
Yes.
So, what
Yes.
this means for us, Tenya, is just because we can't see it doesn't mean we can't know it.
Right. Yeah. My favorite saying is believing is seeing, seeing isn't believing.
Right. Yeah.
So and having used, energy work and meditation and journaling, all these things that are not traditional means to get rid of my anxiety and depression. It those were the things that worked for me.
Hmm.
And those were things that I had not dabbled in much before.
Hmm.
And so it's amazing that this energy work that you can't see, it really is just you have to
Right.
feel it. You have to
Right.
you feel the shifts, and you have to understand that the shifts are not always big shifts. Sometimes they're little shifts.
Right. But
And so,
but we're meant to align to the natural rhythm of the
mhm,
world.
yeah,
The natural rhythm of the world is encoded in our bodies. And the natural rhythm of the world is the air
right.
and is the breathing. We're meant to breathe and to be in community with the wind
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
in the cycle of the sun. I think we just forget that. We're like, oh, we're human. Okay, but we're animals.
Yeah.
We're a part of
We are.
nature.
We are. So what brought you to the point where, how did you know when you wanted to share your parenting gifts with other parents?
So I have always, on this journey of parenting, when Sophia looked at me like, really? I realized that I had to do things differently because the answers were not in the books.
Right.
So I leaned heavily into spirituality and personal development. And I was also gifted with spiritual teachers along the way. The first, shortly after Sophia was born, around the time I had to get a job, and I had done so much work with children that I leaned into teaching. And my first mentor was a woman of Japanese Hawaiian descent who was a Reiki master and a meditator. And I was like, what the hell is her shiz? Like, she had this beautiful spirit and she emanated energy. And I didn't know what Reiki was, I didn't know any of these things. So I just sort of watched her glide around the room. It was like, the fuck is this? So I just watched her glide around the room. I sort of I could feel things coming off of her. And I noticed what she was doing and I started asking her what she was doing. So for a year, I just sort of watched her emanate things and then I started asking and then I started doing and practicing and reading everything she gave me. Gary
Mhm.
Zukav's Seed of the Soul, Eckhart Tolle's books, Deepak Chopra's books, all of the things, and just really studying and being and apprenticing,
Mhm.
and then using all of that work to guide my teaching practice, which obviously guided my parenting practice. And then at that time, um, was pregnant with my son. And so that changed my second birthing experience
Mm.
because I was able to really trust my body.
Yeah.
Do you know, I was like, and then I was living in Santa Cruz at the time, which, come on, like if you can't have a good birthing experience in Santa Cruz, California, there's really kind of a problem with you. So, I had this like beautiful birthing experience in Santa Cruz in a traditional setting, at a maternity hospital with midwives attending, but also within a hospital setting.
Right.
And did end up having a C-section, but it was really supported by midwives and advocates, so it was really this beautiful setting with very intentionally designed space where the birthing suite had windows and skylights so that
Mhm.
no matter what, I was able to see the sky.
Oh,
You
that's
know?
wonderful.
Yeah, it was really amazing. And so I saw my son on a Sunday with the sun. And so
Oh.
it was really a beautiful experience. And doctors that listened to me, how was your birthing experience? I said, it was fucked up, man. When they listened to me and I said, I'm really small. And I think that when I had my C-section, I felt that they didn't listen to me. And I think that the anesthesia went too far. And I feel like the calculations were off.
Hmm.
So they weighed me, they made sure that they calculated, they double calculated. And so what had happened was that when Sophia was born, the anesthesia had gone up to here. And
Okay.
so I couldn't regulate my breathing or my heart. And so I felt like I was having a heart attack while I
Wow.
was recovering from anesthesia with my daughter, which is really dysregulating and
Yeah.
really does feel like you're having a heart attack. And so how can you care for your infant?
Right.
You know? And there's no letdown of milk or any of that. All of that nurturing stuff can't happen. And so I didn't have that with my son. And so I had a really different
Different
experience
experience.
because I was like experiencing Reiki from Eleanor, my mentor teacher, and had giving, no, I wasn't doing Reiki on my son because I didn't really have the practice, but I sort of was
Right.
experiencing that and had just this different model. And so all of these things were things that I was carrying on for parents. And then, through my practice as a teacher, I had become a different person. And
Hmm.
so that embodied experience made it so that I knew that this was a gift that I wanted to share. And that's what I did, as a teacher. This is what I shared in my parent conferences. I was a very different human,
Right.
um, and a teacher because of my experiences. And then I became a principal, and this is what I shared with teachers and then with parents. And so my life has been sharing this with without shame because I know how life-changing it is. And so
Yeah.
in 2022, I just decided to really share this kind of, I'm doing something that's not out there because I have the chops.
Hmm.
I have the human development chops. I've taught at the college level. I've been a principal, so I have the breadth
Hmm.
because as a principal in the schools where I led, had 4-year-olds all the way up to high school. So there's literally nothing that you
Right.
throw at me like
Right. Right. If you
family
haven't gone
systems.
through it, you've seen it.
I've seen it over
Yeah.
7 years.
Yeah.
So I have the chops human development wise, breadth wise. So I think what's been hard for me is that people like business wise have been like, well, you got to pick a niche. You've got to the niches are in the
Right.
the riches are in the niches. I'm like, you can't
Yeah.
pin me down because I also do the energetic work and the human development work and the spiritual work. It's all of it because it's not all everything is one thing.
Right. Right. Yeah. Yeah. We don't need to, we don't, sometimes we can't separate out how we work. We can't separate out
Yeah,
what we know. Um, there are a lot of times I had a coach tell me like you've got to do energy work and the self-care work separately. Like you can't
no, you
combine them
can't.
in a session. I'm like, I can't do that.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
I can't morally be in an energy session and over here, their higher self is saying, hey, they really need to like go for a walk in nature. Well, that's
Yeah.
self-care. I can't tell them not to do that.
Right. And so, yeah. So I found myself doing life coaching work. In 2022, I took a traditional life coaching course,
Hmm.
and then it led me out. So prior to that, I did intuitive coaching. And so that led me into past life regression and
Hmm.
some intuition work, some energetic healing work. But then it wasn't like, so much of the
Yeah.
diagnosing and the other stuff that I was so good at. So then I went into a more traditional life coaching, and then it didn't do the other thing.
Right.
So now I finished an integrated approach that I really love and really makes my heart sing. And now I can do whatever the fuck I
Yep.
want. So it's a quantum leap life coaching, which I
Okay.
love and frees me up to do all the things.
Yeah.
And I just feel I'm at this point in my life where in a 30-minute call, I'm free to sort of you I'm going to guide you, but I'm going to take you as far and as fast as I can in
Hmm.
30 minutes and 45-minute session. And you're going to be amazed, not because of what I can do, but of what we can do
Right.
together.
Yeah.
And I think what's amazing for parents is that they think this is about their children, but it's really about them.
It is. It is. Yeah. When when we heal ourselves,
Mhm.
there's the ripple effect.
Yeah.
And
And they
so,
can heal what's all the poop behind them.
yep. Yeah. Yeah. It goes forward. Like I said, there's a ripple effect. And it's not only your family that you're helping to heal, but you're helping to heal your community. You're helping to heal humanity while you're doing this.
They don't know.
Now, no.
And it's like, well, I'm glad that this is such a woo kind of podcast that it's not just, and it's not just your lineage. It's like
Right.
it's the quantum field.
Yeah.
It's the other possibilities,
Yeah.
For every choice we make, there are quantum fields of choices around us.
Yeah.
So if we are healing all of the fields. And I think that that's what's really important to note, that again, we're at this time where I'm amazed. I'm amazed. I have the gift right now. I have like kind of a long commute, but I only commute 3 days a week.
Mm-hmm.
And I have this little Prius, and I haven't had a name for her, but because I have this long commute, I've been really tuning into spiritual books. And so now I've
Mm-hmm.
decided to call her Temple.
Oh.
So I have this like little hour-long commute on either side of my day. And Temple and we've been listening to Toltec wisdom, Mayan wisdom. I've been listening to Hindu wisdom. But what's amazing to me, like I said before, a few minutes before, is that all of the ancient wisdom, Celtic wisdom, it's all talking about this time as like the time. There's something happening, and we
Yeah.
can feel it and we can
Yeah.
prepare for it. So, we have this time. We don't have to be afraid because
No.
we know it's part of a cycle. We know that it happened before, and we can say, okay, we know what happened before,
Mm-hmm.
and we know what the opportunity is now. So I think that the great gift. And I just really feel, there's a lot of fucked up stuff that's happening in my own personal life right now. My husband works for the National Park Service
Mm.
in a job that is in no way, shape, or form essential. There's no way, because he works with,
Yeah.
marginalized communities. But we have this like overriding sense of peace that no matter what, if we hold fast to the fact that we know that what we do is what we love, and what we
Mm-hmm.
love is what we do, that we will
Yep.
always be guided, then it'll work out.
Yes.
And we don't have to be, it's not about what we think is supposed to happen.
Mm-hmm.
I have become more and more convinced that this beautiful part of our brain, the prefrontal cortex, which we know is the last part of our brain to have been evolved, has been the one that has mesmerized us into believing that it is the most important part. But it's not the dreaming part of the brain, and it is not the part that helps us.
Mm-hmm.
We have to get back into our dreaming part, which is like integrating all of it. And it's not the master. It just has become that. We've become
Right.
mesmerized by this little thinker.
Yep. Yeah. Yeah. So yeah, live within the dream that you're creating.
Yes. And
We are living in a dream,
we are.
and we can create this dream however we want.
Yes.
And it's just a matter of breaking down those barriers to reach
And
that point where we know that we can create
we know
and
that we
design
can.
our own lives.
Yes, we absolutely can. We just have to believe it.
Yeah.
I just was guided to watch The Matrix,
Yeah.
and, and I was like, oh damn it, Keanu Reeves. You just so gorgeous. But yeah, it really is. Like, are you going to take the red pill, or are you going to take
Yeah.
the blue pill?
Yeah.
And there is that character in the movie that's just like, it is too hard to live in this reality where we can create. I can't do it.
Yeah.
You can make the choice.
Hmm.
But I think what we have to know is that there is a choice, and it does have to be made on a daily basis.
Yeah.
And it is about micro action. It's not like we're all going to learn and download a file and learn to fly.
Yeah.
We do have to do these small micro actions. We do have to create non-negotiable practices in time, but
Hmm.
it doesn't have to be I am now going to have to choose to, dedicate my life and, live this sparse existence. And some people will choose to do that, and that's going to be a life that works. But I can live in a 3D existence and I can live in a 3D world and have a 5D existence,
Yes.
is what I want to say.
Yeah.
And it's possible. I'm living it. I have done over the last 18 months, I have manifested and created a life that is pretty intensely fantastic. I'm doing less and making more money with
Mm-hmm.
less responsibility than I ever have.
That's amazing.
Yes. And I'm going to be doing more. I just don't know what it is. Um, but yeah, watch the space.
Yeah, absolutely. So let's get back to
Yeah.
your program,
Yeah.
your coaching program for moms, and how you help them to kind of combine or align their parenting style with what it is that they want to get out of it.
Yeah. So it is a choose your own adventure.
I love that.
Yeah, because I think the problem with most parenting things is that what they're trying to do is to get people to do their framework.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the problem.
Right.
It's like the problem with any diet program. Low carb, low fat, low or high
Mm-hmm.
protein, right?
Right.
It's only going to work for a third of the people a third of the time.
Right.
And that's because our metabolisms have three different formulas. The same thing with these parenting things, right? Like high discipline, low, whatever, right? They're only going to work. So for me, what I think about is like what truly works for you. And I'm not going to design it. I'm going to teach you what truly works. I'm not actually even going to teach you.
Right.
I'm going to teach you to tune into you.
Yeah. You're
And I'm
giving
going to
them the
teach you to
guidance.
tune into your child.
Yeah.
What is the guided action now? What's the guided action now? What feels good now? What feels good for your child? Because we also know that we have children right now that are coming to us with specific needs. And
Mm-hmm.
that's a truism. That is true. That's true. I'm in school. I'm in school right now. You might hear the children on the other side of me. I'm in school right now. I know that the needs of children have changed over the course of years. So what I say, as someone who has been in schools, is that children have different needs than they did before.
Mm-hmm.
And for me to say, out of the wisdom that I received from books, decades ago or even just 2 years ago, is different. So what I need people to do is to not draw from my wisdom,
Right.
to draw from their own wisdom, because that wisdom is the wisdom that works.
I love that. I
And I
love
don't think people are used to that, and
no.
they don't like it, and so I am not for everybody.
Well, here's why they don't like it, I think, is because they're taught to not trust
Yeah,
themselves. They're
and that's part
they're
of the
taught
school
not to
system.
trust what their kids say,
Yeah,
right? Even at 2 or 3 years old, your kids know what makes them feel good and what doesn't.
right.
And I'm sure we were both guilty of this with our kids growing up, saying, "Oh, I have a stomach ache." No, you can still go to school. You don't have a stomach ache. You want to stay home, because that's what we were told, is like kids don't get sick. They don't
Hmm.
get sick. When they do get sick, they just want to stay home from school.
Yeah, yeah,
And I wish that I had, you know, knew then what I know now, and
yeah,
with that understanding of, no, if my kid has an upset stomach, where is that coming from?
right. Yeah, yeah. So I had the gift of actually raising I'm a trained Montessori teacher, and I also
Hmm.
was a Montessori kid. So I sort of had the gift of being in Montessori communities
Hmm.
and also being part of the administration at
Okay.
the time. So um, in those kind of learning environments, oftentimes, we have a little bit more latitude around that. So for me, that listening, because I was in the space of being able to sort of
Right.
to be in the communities and work in the communities, I had a little bit more, because I kind of understood the system, I could have that more like, tell me more about that.
Yeah.
And I think that was not necessarily my experience, but yeah, it is one of those, like, how do we listen to, I think that the skill is, how do we listen to our children with bravery?
Yeah.
Is that what it is? I think it
I
is.
think so, because we have to be brave enough to listen to our kids when they're that little,
Hmm.
right? Because we're told that kids don't know anything.
Yeah. Yeah, I was actually coaching somebody and I said, when you're asking your child to be quiet in public, why are you doing that? And
Right.
they were really quiet. And I said, why are you doing that? I was like, because I don't want them to be loud. And I said, why? Because they shouldn't be. I'm like, why?
Yeah.
And then what he said, this is the father, be, because I don't want them to judge me. And I said, okay, sit with that.
Hmm.
So this is about your child, or is this about you?
Yeah.
So this is what I'm talking about. It's about what we bring to the parenting and not what the child brings to it. And this is, again, no shame, no shade.
No, absolutely not. Absolutely not.
This
But
is
this is bringing
about,
light to those beliefs
yeah,
that we carry from generation to generation,
right.
that we need to behave in a way that does not offend, upset, or cause other people to judge us.
Exactly. But on the other hand, should we let our children run around like insaniacs?
No,
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 absolutely not. In
no.
fact, that's
You
like
take
one
them
of my,
home.
like, come on.
Yeah.
Like,
You take it right. You take them out of the
there are
environment.
appropriate places. Like, I was at a
Right.
brewery the other day and I was like, oh, look at all the kids at the brewery. And then I was like, all the kids at the brewery.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know about that because I'm gonna be enjoying my sour beers.
Yeah.
So, the thing is, like, we have to have a critical consciousness around that.
Yeah.
Like, how do we navigate those things? And I think that we have to take a beat about it. And I think we have to be intentional about it. But I think people are just sort of like randomly doing random things.
Yeah.
And that's what, being intentional around our parent. And that, I think that I've sort of meandered a little bit. I do have actual diagnosed ADHD, neurodivergence. Um, but I think, as an example, let's take the brewery and the kind of being loud in public. If we think about our, um, taking our children out in public, what we want to be thinking about is, am I creating an environment for my child where they can be their fullest expression, right? So if I want my child to be able to like rip and tear, which is what I had a daycare provider who would say that, like, children should be able to rip and tear.
Absolutely.
So, provide the spaces where they can do that. Otherwise, let them know. Like,
Yeah.
we're going to the store and this is not a place where they can rip and tear.
Yeah.
Let them know that ahead of time. We're going to Chuck E. Cheese, which is like, I would never take it's like a germ fest.
Hmm.
We're going to the playground. This is a place where you can rip and tear. We're going to a brewery. This is not a place where you can rip and
Right.
tear. Just
Right.
like letting them know what the expected behavior is.
Right.
So I think creating success for them rather than creating no for them is so important. Like,
Yeah.
before we go, and I mean, I'm writing a book. I'm so glad I'm going to be on a couple of podcasts and I'm saying I'm writing a book so that I can be like, and now I'm writing after I get off. I'm writing a book.
Yeah.
Self-publishing. So it's coming out soon. I'm just going to say it's coming out in June.
There you go.
So it's coming out in June, and this is one of the stories that's in the book, and this is a true and real story that actually happened. And I had told Sophia, my lovely little person, that, when we go to the store, this is not a place. We go to the store because we have to go to get foods,
Right.
and we have a list. So our whole thing was, this was becoming an issue, and I said, we're really there to get the foods on the list, and this is what we're doing. So if you ask for something that's off the list, you can ask once. So once is maybe. 2 times is no. And if you ask a 3rd time, we're just going to leave the store, because I can't with like crawling on me and like in my face.
Right.
Like, we're not.
Right.
It's just not a thing we do.
Right.
And, at this point, then I had Ben in a, front facing thing, and she's in a stroller. So like, this is not the moment. We're not doing that. So, we had gotten, she's in the shopping cart, he's in the baby Bjorn or whatever it was at the time. And she's wanting whatever. And we're about almost 2/3 of the way through the list. And we're getting there. She's asking for whatever the heck it was. And I was like, that's once. And now it's a maybe. And I'm letting you know, 2 times is a no, and 3 times we're leaving the store. And I'm just praying, like, please
don't ask again.
Please don't ask, because we can make it, man.
Yeah.
We can make it to checkout, because we're going to be out of food. Like, this is like shelves bare, right? So she asked the 2nd time, and I said, okay, it's now a no. And remember, the 3rd times we're leaving, and I know, because my child is a warrior, Tenya. My child is Shiva. She is going to try me. I know. And I'm thinking, like, I really hope she doesn't, because she's going to call my bluff. And if she calls my bluff, I'm leaving the shopping cart in the Safeway on Morrissey Avenue in Santa Cruz.
Yep.
And then at this point, Ben, who has always been an intuitive, can always feel the energy. He's feeling the energy of the push and pull.
Yeah.
And he's starting to get fussy and like moving around. I'm like, oh God, it's happening. And I'm feeling it, she's feeling it, and he's feeling it. And all of a sudden, we're like, I swear to you, we had like 2 more items. I'm like, come on, let's just get to the check. Okay, we're leaving. And so I take her, I pull her out of the cart, and I just put her, she's in like the football hold. He's like this, and I tell one of the people in the safe, I'm like, okay, my children are not ready to be in the store. I'm so sorry that we have left a shopping cart full of food, but we are leaving. And as we're like, I'm just struggling now. Ben is just like,
Yeah.
It's just a sight. And all the way up to the car, I'm trying to be the best version of me for that moment on a Santa Cruz spring day. And I'm just like, we have no food. I'm going to have to come here after you all have gone to sleep. I don't know what we're going to rustle up for dinner, but that will be the natural consequence of this fiasco.
Yeah.
We're going home.
Yep.
And that was just the thing. Like, I had done my very best to set us up for success, and it hadn't worked, but I had to do it.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I think we all had like can of soup. I really think, I think I had like a cup of rice. I think we had a can of like, I think we had like a can of like that, like hungry man something soup.
Right.
And I like dumped the soup over the rice, and we had like porridge. That's what we had.
Yeah. And they're still alive today.
They're still alive.
They survived.
Sophia's turning dirty 30.
Yeah.
Ben is 27. She has a master's degree. He's a wealth manager. It's fine.
Yep.
They don't have autobiographies coming out. It's great.
Well, you're not the only one who's left a shopping cart full of food.
Yeah.
I had to do it with 3 kids. I think my oldest was 5, and I think the twins were 2.
Yeah.
And I didn't go grocery shopping with all 3 of them very often. And after that, I didn't go grocery shopping with all 3 of them.
Yeah. Yeah, I did do it again because I wanted to make a point.
Right.
My whole thing was like, I do believe in you. I have faith that we can do it again. Let's re let's recall recap of our
Yeah.
last fiasco. We will do it again. It's going to be great.
And was it successful?
It was. And like
Good.
every aisle, I'm like, we made it through. We made it through produce, kids. That's great. Yeah, believe in us. Let's get through dairy.
The
So,
confidence that I feel that you give the parents that you're working with has got to be amazing.
well, it's because I failed so miserably.
Well, yeah, but I mean, you're teaching from your knowledge.
Yeah, and I think that that's what's
Yeah.
great. Like what I want them to know is that it's it is so possible because I am so real. I am not a guru.
Yeah. Yeah.
And they can do it one little step at a time and they can share with me. I think that's the other thing is like, I'm going to share with you all the dirty, dirty.
Mm-hmm.
And so if I share with you all the dirty, dirty, then you're going to feel like, oh, okay, I can tell you this.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I want them to feel that because I love them enough to like share with them that my kids still text me.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? They still
Yeah.
answer the phone.
Yep.
They don't like, they're not, I don't know if you have this relationship with your mother. I certainly do. Like when she calls, I'm just
Oh yeah. I oh yeah.
like,
I've had to
where's my
put
rose quartz? Where's my
yep.
rose quartz?
Yeah, I've
Am
had to
I?
put boundaries up with my mom. And I tell everybody, I said, I have what I consider a great relationship with my parents now. There are
Mhm.
still things that I wish were different. However, for my mental health, for my family's mental health, my relationship with my parents is great.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
infrequent,
Yeah.
but it works. But
Yeah.
yes, every time I see her pop up on the phone, I'm just like,
Right.
now I can
I
answer
do.
the phone.
Yeah. I do an energy level check.
Yep,
I'm like, did I meditate today?
yep,
Would it, is this, yeah, I will do like, I will do an energy level check. I will say, is this something that is
yep.
this something that is available to me now? Is what I
Yeah,
will say to
yeah.
myself. If it's
And
not,
sometimes
then it's not.
sometimes you let it go to voicemail and you call them
Yeah.
back 15 minutes later.
Yeah. Or
Yeah.
I'll say like, do I have therapy today? No, it's Wednesday. I'll call her Thursday.
Yeah. 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 But through what we've grown up with and what
Mhm.
we had to deal with,
Right.
we were able to shift our parenting
Right.
so that we do have our kids calling us and texting us and
Yeah.
keeping us informed about their lives with the understanding that we know they have their lives.
And the thing is that and what the other thing that I want parents to know is that there are these phases of parenting. There's an active phase, a coaching phase, and a consulting phase.
Yeah.
I'm in the consulting phase.
Yep. Yep. You need help, come to me.
Yeah.
I will try
You
not to give you
know,
unsolicited advice, but
yeah. You know, what's the difference between an HMO and a PPO?
yeah.
Ask me. Is it super important to file your taxes on time? The answer is yes. BTW, any of your listeners,
Yeah.
please do that.
Yep.
Those are, I'm in the consulting phase. The coaching phase is sort of your 20s and 30s, which is where my children are right now. And like the heavy phase, the heavy lift phase is, when they're under your roof.
Yeah.
So I think that there are ways, and I think, the coaching that I do, what parents tend to do is they come to me in those transition times when they're like, what happened? I'm like, well, hormones. Well, oh, brain development,
Yeah.
the parents do get thrown for a loop.
Mm-hmm.
Like infancy through the toddler phase is often very like a hot topic. That childhood to adolescence is a hot, that launching spot is hot.
Mm-hmm.
And then I'll have sometimes like right after the nest is empty, I'll have moms call me like, I don't know what to do with my
Yeah.
life.
That's
So
where I'm going through right now
yeah,
is becoming empty nesters.
yeah,
And I tell you what, I thought I prepared myself for it early on because my
right.
girls have left and it's just my son left here at home who's moving out in a month. Um, you prepare yourselves for these things. You
Yeah,
think you prepare yourselves for these things. And then it starts to happen and it's just like, whoa, this is not what I prepared myself for.
right. It's different.
Yeah, it is.
It's different with each child. And I think what's important to also notice it's different. It's different with each child. It's different for the just because of the quality of the relationship of
Right.
each child,
Yeah.
right? We have a
Yeah.
different, the quality of the relationship is just different.
Yeah. And I think it's different when the last one is leaving versus the
Yeah,
first as well. Because
yeah,
when that first one leaves, you really do kind of expect it. You expect them because they're the oldest, you expect them to, either go off to college or move out and find their footing. But when the last one moves out, it's like, oh my gosh, there's no more left after this.
yeah.
So there's
So
different feelings involved when that last one leaves the nest.
yeah, and I had a really interesting empty nest situation because both of mine came back for the pandemic.
Mm-hmm.
And so 2021, they both left at the same time. So it was really interesting
Mm-hmm.
because we were like right on top of each other while they were launching.
Yeah.
So it was like a really intense, like watch them, coach them, consult them while they're like learning how to be
Yep.
adults. And then boop,
Gone.
gone.
Yeah.
Really, really interesting. And I was in a ton of therapy at that time. So I did do like all this like processing.
Yeah.
So yeah, yeah,
So yeah, the gambit of parenting is
yeah,
is such a wonderful story and a horrific nightmare all at the same time.
right. And we learn. I think, if we think of it as a way in which to learn about ourselves,
Hmm.
I think that's the most
Yeah.
fruitful way of becoming.
Yeah. Yeah. And I do find that our generation has had to really learn to not just reparent not just parent our kids, but reparent ourselves in
Yeah,
the process.
yeah,
And I think that is what has opened a lot of us up to shifting from how we were raised to how we wished we had been raised.
yes. I would say that that is a truism. I think I'm 54 and my parents were immigrants,
Hmm.
and I experienced a lot of emotional neglect and just physical, not a lot of physical proximity. My parents were on the hustle. They were just trying to
Yeah.
make it work
Yeah.
and trying to figure it out. And there
Yeah.
was a
They
lot.
they were on their own journeys.
They're just trying to figure it out, man.
Yeah. Yeah.
And helping, my parents were helping people to immigrate.
Hmm.
The evils of chain migration. It's our problem. We did it.
Yeah.
We are the problem, Tanya.
No. You're not the problem.
So I'm just letting, so we were doing a lot of that active helping people to
Hmm.
immigrate and all of that stuff. So of course I didn't get my
Right.
emotional needs met.
Yeah.
And of course there was like a lot of things that we cousins were figuring out and a lot of misinformation, cousins making stuff up. Like,
Hmm.
oh good Lord. And uninterrupted, unsupervised time.
Yeah.
I mean, oh, in basements, oh, it was bad.
Oh.
Just bad, bad basement time. You probably, I mean, the 70s and 80s were just all the
Yeah.
stories.
Oh yeah. Oh
We
yeah.
were feral.
Oh, absolutely.
You know,
Absolutely. Yeah. Come home
ki-
when yeah, my parents did not have any clue
riding around,
kind
like
of stuff we
rolling
got
around the
into.
back seats of cars and
Nope.
trucks and
Yep.
inside of trunks.
Yep.
Everybody, oh, that sounds like so much fun. I'm like, was it though?
Yeah. Yeah. I don't know. I don't know. Yeah. I mean, I love that my kids have never, I can't say never, but my kids have not done that I'm aware of a lot of the things I did when I was a teenager.
Yeah.
And I am so thankful that that they didn't. They did have their moments where they got into things where it, was questionable, but like I always knew where my kids were. I
Yes.
always knew where they were. I always knew who they were hanging out with.
Yes.
Um, at least I
There's a
like to
lot of
believe I did.
kind of like blind trust, like they must be okay. I think that my parents had like
Well, yeah, yeah. And I think yeah, we were probably a little more overprotective than our parents were
because
because
we
we
knew
knew
we
what we
were
got
like
away with. Right. We knew what we got away with. And we were, once we had kids, we were like, yeah, you're not getting away with that.
yeah, like I know what that is.
Not going to happen. So as we come to the end of this episode, what are two or three nuggets
Yeah.
that you would want someone to take away from this episode? What would inspire them?
Yeah. So I do want to go back to non-negotiable time. Self-care is not selfish. Um, I do want people to think about what is possible in their lives as far as self-care and advocacy goes.
Hmm.
If they have young children, if it's just, I am going to have a cup of tea, a cup of coffee, a little bit of journaling time, I can listen to some soft music. I can, you know, sit in the bathroom. I can do something for 5 minutes just to center myself and just to breathe, to feel the stillness. If that's all that they can do, they need to do it
Yeah.
because being in our bodies and knowing that in my body is a good place to be is an important thing. So that's number one, to be
Yeah.
still, to be inside of themselves for a little bit and carving out that non-negotiable time.
Hmm.
Really important. Do that in the morning and do that at night. So that's the one thing. Um, Finding the stillness, just knowing that, well, let me say this actually as my second thing. My second thing is to build community. And I want to say, finding communities either, I think it's really strong to find communities IRL in real life.
Hmm.
And also online. I think online is pretty good. Um, but I think in real life is really important as well. Find those people that are going to lift you up, and you'd be surprised. You'd be surprised where you'll find them in real life. But find those communities that you can look forward to. There's a lot of people and influencers out there that are spreading good news and good vibes out there. Again, you can find me on TikTok mostly. I'm trying to get off of Facebook and Instagram just because. But you can find me Raise Badass Humans with Dr. Luz or just Raise Badass Humans. And find those people that are going to inspire you. So find communities, keep listening to podcasts that are going to uplift you like this one, because designing your life is an option.
Hmm.
It
It is.
really is an option.
It is.
The two things, carve out time, build a community. Do I have a third thing? I don't know. Find something that inspires you, whether it's art, whether it's making your own stuff,
Hmm.
be creative.
Yeah.
Get in touch with your own
Wonderful.
creative spirit.
Perfect.
There you go.
So all of your links will definitely be in the show notes. Do you have a
Yeah.
website?
Find me on TikTok, find
Okay.
me on Instagram. Those are the places where I'm living currently. I will
Perfect.
have a book. You'll see that kind of information. I've said it now 3 times.
Yeah. So you gotta like hold yourself accountable.
I will.
Luz, thank you so much for coming on. I really appreciate you sharing your story, sharing your insights to parenting and empowering parents to not only listen to themselves, but to listen to their kids.
All right. Thank you, Tenya.
Thank you so much for joining us on the Metamorphosis Project podcast. I hope today's episode brought you inspiration, joy, and a spark of empowerment. Remember, transformation is an incredible journey, and every single step you take towards self-care and healing brings you closer to the life you truly desire. If this episode uplifted you, please subscribe, rate, and leave a review on your favorite podcast platform. Your support helps us to share this journey of hope, resilience, and joy with many listeners. For more tips, support, and inspiration, come and visit us at designyourexistence.com. Until next time, keep growing, keep healing, and keep shining brightly. You are absolutely worth every bit of love and care you give to yourself. Take care, stay joyful, and be well.